Hello YouTube, it's Bethany from Madeline Jean Antiques Restoration. In this tutorial, I'm going to go through the 5 biggest mistakes I see people making again and again when it comes to restoring and painting antique and vintage furniture. So I'm going to go through each one in detail, along with my little buddy Biscuit here. Isn't he a riot? He loves this sling. I don't wear it much outside of the house, but if I want to get some things done around the house and I want to know where he is, or if I'm traveling, sometimes I visit family in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, I just strap this on and he is so comfortable in this thing that it's comical. So if you see me wearing this, Biscuit's below. So I'm going to go through the 5 biggest mistakes that I see people making, and I hope you guys come away with some new knowledge, and hopefully it'll help you with your next do-it-yourself project. Okay, number 1 mistake that I see people making again and again, not prepping their pieces appropriately. And when I say prep, if that's a new word for you, I mean some people will take a piece that they pick up from a thrift store or they get it on Facebook Marketplace and they just start painting it. They don't prep the piece. They don't prepare it to be painted. Now, is prepping fun? No, it's not. It's like my least favorite thing to do because it's not creative. I like to get into actually transforming a piece of furniture. So I like the painting, I like the staining, I like creating new finishes. We all like doing that part of a project. But if you want your paint to adhere to the piece of furniture, if you want your top coat to do what it's supposed to do, and that means that needs to stick either to the wood or the stained piece that you've done, you need to prep the piece appropriately. So my 2 products that I love to prep a piece of furniture with, the first one is KRUD Cutter. I use this every time I get a piece of furniture. I have to determine which areas I'm going to sand and which areas I'm not going to sand, and I just need to clean them. So this is for areas where I'm looking to just clean the finish. Maybe I'm not removing the finish completely. I use this product and it gets it prepared for the paint. Also, I will use shellac a lot. Shellac is used a lot to block the wood tannins. That's usually when you have a word that bleed through that'll come up. If you've ever painted a piece of furniture, you're using light colors like grays and whites, and you paint it, and either immediately or the next day you look at it and it's got some yellow tones coming to the surface. Sometimes if it's a dark cherry wood, it's red and pink tones coming to the surface, and no matter how many layers of paint you put on, it keeps doing it. That's because you did not prep the piece properly. So shellac helps with that as well. I've done a couple tutorials on what shellac is about and how to apply it. I will include those links in this video below, so click on those if you want to know all about shellac, how to do it. So prepping your piece, I'm going to say, is probably the number 1 biggest mistake I see with people. They don't want to do the prep work because it takes longer to transform a piece. But my point is, if you don't prep it, what's the point if your paint's gonna fail, if you're gonna have bleed through, if your paint's gonna start to chip off your piece? I've seen many people who don't prep the piece, they put on their paint, and it's starting to, like, even if they just move the piece of furniture, their nail will scratch and the paint will start peeling. That shouldn't be happening. That's because there's been a failure with the adhesion of the paint because you didn't prep the surface properly. So please prep, and that means either cleaning your piece, sanding the old finish off. If you're not going to do that, then at least shellac it to block the old finish so you don't have the wood tannins coming through. So prep your piece, people. I cannot stress this enough. Do it. Okay, the number 2 biggest mistake I see with people is not knowing their products. I don't know if it's because people are lazy and they don't want to read the back of a label, or they're just taking for face value what somebody said online. but you need to know the products that you're working with. There's so many people that don't even know basics like what's the difference between an oil-based product and a water-based product. So I've seen people use a water-based paint and then use an oil-based top coat, and they wonder why it's yellowing, or they're wondering why something isn't mixing and it's creating bubbles, the top coat. So get to know your, this back here is just a mini tower of some of the products I use. And like, this is shellac, this is oil stain, oil top coat, a wood conditioner, a 1 hour enamel paint, a clay paint, a white clear wax, another oil gel stain, a black glaze, liming wax. I mean, there's so many products out there when it comes to refinishing furniture. Really do your homework before you start mixing them. And when I say mixing them, usually people are painting a piece of furniture and they're putting a certain top coat over it, and it's not the right top coat for that project. I see a lot of people with kitchen tables, high traffic pieces, and they're using wax as a top coat. I wouldn't recommend that. With high traffic pieces like a kitchen table, a coffee table, I would be using an oil-based poly. That's the most durable top coat out there. Also, people aren't paying attention when it comes to weather. Weather plays a huge part in these products working the most efficient way. So I have a temperature, a thermometer, that's the word I'm looking for. I have a thermometer in my workspace hanging on the wall, so I know at any given time what the temperature is in my workspace, and then I also check my phone to see what the humidity is. Because each one of these products, when you turn in the back on the label, it'll tell you the ideal conditions to be using the product. I've had many people reach out to me and say, I applied my stain 2 days ago and it's still sticky to the touch when it should have dried within 24 hours, and then I find out they're working in an open garage in the middle of the summer in Texas. Humidity and heat do play a part. The same with it being too cold. So please read your labels. Please also know what you're working with. Is it water-based? Is it oil-based? The normal, I say normal loosely, the normal rule of thumb is water-based products with a water-based top coat, an oil-based product with an oil-based top coat is what people usually use. Now, can you mix them under some circumstances? So if you're in doubt, I would say Google the product. Google has been extremely helpful for me because I am completely self-taught. I also belong to a couple of furniture refinishing groups on Facebook. You should look for those as well. They've been very helpful for me if I ever have a question. I have a lot of people who reach out to me on my Facebook business page and on my Instagram, and also leaving comments here at YouTube, and I try to answer those as quickly as possible when people have questions, and it's usually in regards to what top coat should I be choosing. These are the products that I used. I did a YouTube tutorial not too long ago regarding top coats, which are the best ones that you should be using for certain projects, and what should go over paint, what should go over stain, things like that. So I'll include that link as well under this video. What are the top coats that you should be using for different projects? So that's my number 2, people just not knowing their products. So please Google, do some research, and definitely read the back of the label before you begin a project. Okay, number 3 biggest mistake I see. This is a quick one. People not being patient. I know it's hard, but if it says to wait 24 hours in between applying your top coat, wait 24 hours. That's another mistake. I've even made it when I was first starting out. I was like, oh, it's a little tacky. I'll just start applying my second coat. No, please be patient. If you need to wait 12 to 24 hours in between painting coats, I've seen people's paint start to crackle, and it's because they're applying multiple coats too fast, and the first coat hasn't even dried yet. So that's why you get a lot of paint cracking. For example, this top, on the top of this antique wash stand, I had to wait. The humidity was really high here in New Hampshire a week ago, and normally my top coat will dry within 24 hours. It wasn't. And as eager as I was to finish this project, I kept waiting. So please, please, please be patient with your products. Don't rush things. That's one thing with antique restoration work. You can't rush good and quality work. So just wait it out. If the label says to wait a certain time frame, please just adhere to it, and you will find you will have less problems in the end if you just follow the rules. Right, Biscuit? Exactly. Let's go on to number 4. Okay, you guys, number 4, biggest mistake I see. People do not practice. And what I mean by practicing, I mean practicing on scrap pieces of wood, a new paint that they're using, or a new top coat that they've never used before. I have a lot of people asking me how to apply polyacrylic. That has a big learning curve to it. So if you notice in my comments back to people, I advise people all the time, get some scrap wood, either buy it, or if you have some laying around the house, and paint it the color that you're painting your piece of furniture, and try the top coat out. See how it feels to apply it. See if it works for you. See if it looks good. These are all things I advise with projects that you're working on. Do not start a new project like on your great-grandmother's hope chest and you're using a paint and a top coat that you've never used before. I would advise against that. I would say, try it out on a scrap piece of wood, and if you like what you see, then go for it. Think about it. People who get ready for their wedding day, right? Women just don't try a new hairstyle the day of their wedding, or try a makeup artist the day of their wedding. They usually go in and get everything done beforehand just to see how it looks, just to make sure it's the look that they want for their big day. I give that advice to people all the time who are restoring furniture. Practice. Make sure you're comfortable. Make sure that's the look that you want. Because it's so frustrating, because I've been there too. There's nothing worse than you restore a piece and you get to the last point, right? The top coat, and it doesn't look the way you wanted it to look, or it ruins all the work that you just did painting a piece of furniture, and you have to start over. So please, please, please practice if you're not comfortable with the top coat, or practice if you don't know how dark of a gray it is, how light of a gray it is. Trust me, it's worth the extra effort just to take that step and just practice a little bit. Okay, my last thing that I see, number 5, people making mistakes with restoring antique and vintage furniture. It's pretty simple. I don't see some people having fun. You should be having fun. This should be a creative outlet for some people who like to do it as a hobby. And if you're doing it as a side hustle, you should be enjoying the process. I feel if you follow the 4 other biggest mistakes and you correct those, then it should be fun. It should be enjoyable. So I see a lot of people frustrated out there, and they don't need to be as frustrated as they are becoming if they would just know their products, if they would just be patient, if they would just practice a little bit, and if they would just prep their pieces. If you do those, more than likely, your project is gonna come out the way you envision it. And you have to give yourself some leeway as well, because you are gonna make mistakes in this line of work. With any new skill that you're learning, you just have to be patient with yourself. Forgive yourself a little bit. Trust me, I make mistakes all the time. When I do these YouTube tutorials, I am trying to share with you my knowledge over the 8 years that I've been doing this. I'm completely self-taught, so with me kind of tooting my little horn saying that, that also means I've made a gazillion mistakes along the way. And so I'm trying to help people with just, these are the 5 biggest mistakes I see people making. And I hope by watching this video, it helps you to better prepare yourself for your next project that you'll be working on. Thank you so much for joining me. Biscuit thanks you. He's been just so good, just hanging out here. If you're interested in one of these slings, I'm telling you, he only weighs 5 pounds, but from what I've seen, I think you can carry a dog up to 20 pounds in these. I don't know if I'd want to, but you know, I'll share the link to these. I love this sling. It's awesome. I've had it for almost 5 years, as long as we've had him. So it's still holding up pretty well. So any guys, if you have any more questions regarding any of the projects that you're working on or anything that I've stated in this YouTube video, please drop it in the comment section. I'd be happy to answer it for you. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please do. It's in the lower right-hand corner. Can't miss it. It's a red button. Until next time, Biscuit and I say toodaloo. Bye, guys.